And thank you for calling today's hearing. And I know we all want to take a moment and express the committee's support and prayers for Senator Bozeman as he recovers from surgery. It's no secret that the current administration doesn't see Congress as a partner or a co-equal branch, but really just an obstacle to its hostile regulatory agenda. And that President Obama and his EPA are willing to ignore multiple agency guidelines, federally mandated transparency laws in order to advance that proactive agenda by administrative fiat. Unfortunately, the administration's policy of legislation by regulation is pervasive, and it has reached the subject of today's hearing, stormwater runoff. Now, there's no question that under the Clean Water Act, Congress provided EPA with some authority to address and mitigate the discharge of pollutants into navigable waters. However, the EPA has been testing and surpassing, in some cases, the limits of this authority in an ongoing effort to regulate water bodies that were clearly left to the states and private landowners to manage. Some of the more egregious examples have been highlighted by EPW Republicans. These cases of EPA's unlawful effort to regulate the rain creates absurd consequences for local and state officials in some cases throughout the country. In one particular case, for instance, the Virginia Department of Transportation determined that EPA water flow regulations would cost hundreds of millions of dollars in unfunded federal mandates, provide little to no environmental benefit, and force local authorities to condemn a vast swath of private property in order to construct required stormwater infrastructure. The department challenged this in court, and the independent court tossed out EPA's regulation based on what I would hope is a fundamental common sense notion that flow of water on its own is not a pollutant under the Clean Water Act. Of course, policymakers should examine the problems and potential solutions to water pollution associated with transportation infrastructure. And of course, we need to recognize dangers like washouts, which were the subject of many of those photographs. But that isn't in the middle of the Clean Water Act, and it's not about pollution fundamentally. EPA's proposed Waters of the United States rule confirms that the agency has no intention of abiding by the limits Congress established in the Clean Water Act. As the written testimony for today's hearing indicates, the administration's quest for unfettered regulatory authority will in fact impede environmental stewardship and safety efforts by many transportation officials throughout the country. And this calls into question either side of the aisle supporting EPA's proposed rule. I want to make it very clear that it's the clear intention of EPW Republicans to prevent EPA from redefining federal jurisdiction and to keep EPA bureaucrats out of the backyards of American families and off the private property of farmers, ranchers, and small businesses. And I look forward to hearing from our distinguished panel of experts this afternoon on this important issue. Thank you.